the newest tracks, and the next big thing.
Baby, what was that?
And your first place to hear it all. iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers. Powered by North by Northeast. Celebrating 30 years of discovering the artists you love today. iHeart New Music.
Discover new music.
Stream now, online, on your smart speaker, and on the free iHeartRadio app.
This week in gaming with Naomi Kyle.
Hello and happy Memorial Day to our U.S. listeners. I'm Naomi Kyle and welcome back to This Week in Gaming. This week we're catching up on Nintendo Switch 2 updates, Mortal Kombat 1 throws in the towel, and the Borderlands 4 boss gets into deep trouble, and the debate about console ownership. We've got all of this week's gaming news, so let's hop right in. Borderlands 4 boss Randy Pitchford landed himself in hot water last week after replying to a tweet from a concerned Borderlands fan who feared that Borderlands 4 might cost $80 US, like so many other AAA titles. So what did Randy say in response? He said, quote, "If you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. My local game store had Starflight for Sega Genesis for $80 in 1991 when I was just out of high school working minimum wage at an ice cream parlor in Pismo Beach, and I found a way to make it happen." As you can imagine, the fallout surrounding Randy's reply was nothing short of remarkable. Gamers throughout Twitter crucified him for responding so heartlessly to a fan of the Borderlands games. Randy eventually came around and apologized for his terse remarks. But this incident highlights just how sensitive the conversation around rising game prices has become, and it seems he missed the mark on this one. We'll have more on this story a little later on in the show, of course, because yikes. A couple of weeks ago, I reported that an Elden Ring movie might be in the works, but at the time, it was nothing more than a rumor. Well, I am pleased to announce that the rumor has been confirmed, and A24 director Alex Garland is in fact working on creating an Elden Ring movie. Alex Garland is set to write and direct the live-action adaptation of Elden Ring. George R.R. Martin, who created the lore for the Lands Between during Elden Ring's development period, will help produce the movie. There is no release date or cast yet, as the movie is in the very early stages of pre-production. The launch of Mortal Kombat 1 Definitive Edition marks the end of the game's run, confirming that the game will not receive any more DLC. Understandably, this news upset fans of Mortal Kombat 1 who took to social media to voice their disappointment, with some retweeting a post from the game's co-founder Ed Boon, who assured fans back in late 2024 that they were committed to supporting Mortal Kombat 1 for a long time. Warner Brothers, who bought Mortal Kombat from Midway back in 2009, addressed disapproval from fans via a tweet that reads, "We are hearing players' requests for continued game support of Mortal Kombat 1. We understand this will be disappointing for fans, but our team at NetherRealm needs to shift focus to the next project in order to make it as great as we possibly can. I love Mortal Kombat, but after a couple of years, I am ready for a new game. Will it be Injustice 3? A girl can dream." We are a little more than a week from the launch of the Switch 2, and day by day, we're learning more about the ins and outs of Nintendo's next console. The gaming news outlet GameFile has stumbled upon the latest update concerning the Switch 2's electronic user license agreement, which reads, "You acknowledge that if you fail to comply with the foregoing restrictions, Nintendo may render the Nintendo account service and/or the applicable Nintendo device permanently unusable." Basically, what Nintendo is saying here is that if you don't use your Switch 2 as intended, they reserve the right to cancel your Nintendo account and brick your console. So what does Nintendo consider to be a misuse of their console? Well, a lot of things, actually. Publishing, copying, modifying, or exploiting the Nintendo account services in just about any way imaginable is strictly prohibited under the new user license agreement. Pretty harsh, but is it necessary? We'll definitely be chatting with our guest about this one, so stay tuned. Another fun Switch 2 factoid regards Nintendo's new in-game communication feature, GameChat. Those wanting to use the feature will be required to link their Nintendo account to a phone number. This is likely an effort by Nintendo to have GameChat users verify their identity. Since this is Nintendo's first step into online voice chat, excluding the bizarre smartphone-based voice chat feature that the Switch currently uses, they want to still keep their ecosystem family-friendly, which is probably another reason that Nintendo wants to tie its users to a phone number. So you better mind your P's and Q's.
Quest complete.
So that's the news for this week. It's now time to chat with our guest. Stella Chung joins us to chat about all the news this week, like that spicy Randy Pitchford quote, the $80 game price debate, and the Nintendo Switch 2 questions of ownership when it comes to consoles.
Select game mode. Multiplayer.
Stella, so good to have you on the show again. It's been a minute.
It has been. Hopefully you had a nice long weekend.
I did. I just swam in the pool. Didn't do much beyond that. But let's talk some gaming news. Let's first start off with this crazy quote. I'm sure you saw it in the news. Randy Pitchford said something diabolical. And I think fans are, rightfully upset, but basically saying that, hey, if Borderlands ends up being $80, we still don't know the official price. If it ends up being $80, fans will make it happen, right? What do you think? What do you think about this?
It's definitely scummy to say that. I know that he came back around and made an actual professional statement about tariffs and everything. And it's like, okay, dude, you could have just led with that. Clearly, he needs PR training. I mean, he's needed this for forever, but also it just shows what kind of a person he is. I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that video games are getting more expensive, right? I mean, it's just how things are working, especially with inflation. Gaming is still a hobby for a lot of people. So I get it. It's expensive. But you don't need to guilt people into that. Like, that is not how you get people to buy your game.
To me, it feels like instead of saying, hey, this game is really big, it costs a lot of money. That's what it took to make it, based on what the product is, as opposed to saying, hey, if you're a fan, you're going to pay for it no matter what. And it's based on how much, I guess, of a real fan you are, is what he was saying. How committed, how much of a real fan are you if you're going to be paying, are you willing to make the extra $10 to buy this game? And if not, you're not a real fan. I think that that's totally just tone deaf entirely.
Oh, no, 100%. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay. So if I don't have the money, then I'm not a real fan. Okay,
exactly.
Great, cool, thanks. And it's like, okay. Also, in my opinion, I feel like if you've played one Borderlands game, you kind of get the idea of what the Borderlands games are, and they get really repetitive. So it's like, unless you're doing something extraordinary with Borderlands 4, then I would see why some people would want to skip it.
Exactly. And what really hurts, what makes it worse, is it killed the hype, because I feel like there was a lot of Borderlands 4 hype. The fact that it's going to be launching on the Switch 2, I think people were actually really excited about playing this, and Randy Pitchford kind of killed the hype for that. And now we just know Randy sometimes will say things and not think about what he's saying. And there's repercussions for that, and it really hurts the franchise, which I find disappointing. But let's move on to the $80 price tag general discussion, because that's the big debate. What is your stance on it? You talk about how games are expensive for sure. But is it something, are you willing to pay $80 at this point? Is this something that fans should just be expecting?
I think it sucks, but I do think that a lot of games are going to be more around the $70 to $80 marks. 80 is a lot. I think 70 was the next step forward. So I do feel like a lot more games are going to, like, full length AAA games are going to be priced at like 70 at least. Mm-hmm. I do really appreciate, this is where I do appreciate the value of like Game Pass and PS Plus, because you do get more games kind of for one price. So you get to still enjoy this hobby, not necessarily be able to have, maybe like the latest game that comes out, unless you have Game Pass, which at the highest tier. But I do think, unfortunately, this is kind of where we're going with gaming. And I feel like the faster people are to accept that, I think the faster they'll be able to move forward and figure out oh, okay, let me see which games I actually want to play. I do think this means that a lot more people are not going to be playing a lot of the Game of the Year contenders, because they might have to split their money between one title or the other.
That's right. That's right. Or people will only save and scrounge for the Game of the Year titles as opposed to the smaller ones, which I think it could hurt. It just hurts the industry in general. But I also am on the same page where I think it was a long time coming. Games have gotten historically more expensive to make over time. And as that continues to grow, especially the state of the economy in general has caused this to happen. I think it's kind of been expected, and it just has finally come to head where now we see that. think $80 is the price to see, is the new price tag for games.
Games out this week.
On May 28th, to a T-Poses on PC, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and releases day one on Game Pass. And on May 28th, Filmography relives on PS5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S. Then on May 30th, Disney Illusion Island leaps from the Switch and onto the PS5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S. Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma dance onto PC and Nintendo Switch. And Elden Ring Night Rain soars onto the PS4, PS5, PC, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S.
Quest accepted.
All right, Stella, we're back. There's still more news to tackle. The Mortal Kombat 1 situation. Support has ended. I think the biggest reason the backlash this has happened is because of Ed Boon's initial comments about when the game came out. But how do you feel about the fact that all of a sudden, just kind of out of nowhere, Mortal Kombat 1 support is done? It's finished.
So I can't really say, I feel like I'm not as well versed in the fighting game sphere. I know, but it feels like there's a lot of stuff happening around with fighting games. Like Tekken, I know they're getting a lot of flack for bringing back DLC from the previous game, and now that's being put in here. So people are like, oh, I'm just paying for the same thing over again. I guess Mortal Kombat 1 ending with this launch, I guess it's not like the worst thing ever, but also, especially with a fighting game, you kind of expect it to have a little bit of a long tail. So it is interesting to hear that it's just done suddenly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wonder what the decision is.
Yeah, I'm thinking on this and I'm just like, okay, this to me feels like a WB decision. You know, like this is Warner Brothers deciding, okay, well, this game is too expensive to make or something along those lines. You know, they did put out a tweet saying Mortal Kombat 1 support is ending and it's disappointing to fans, but it's because we have to shift focus to our next project, which who knows what it is, right? And I think really what it comes down to, the reason why a lot of folks are upset is because Ed Boon had initially said, you know, in 2024, I think it was, that they would have support for Mortal Kombat 1 for years. So it's very interesting. And I just wonder now what is going to be the next project for NetherRealm at this point. It's one of those things where it could be Injustice. It could be another Mortal Kombat. Like, what do you have any speculation about what it might be?
You know what? I would love to see another Injustice come back because, let's see, when was the last one?
I feel like it's been a minute. It was Injustice 2,
right?
and we haven't had anything after that. Yeah.
Oh, wait, okay, yeah, that was 2017. So it's been about, I think it's about time. I think there could be another one. Yeah, I feel like fighting game fans kind of just need a win at this point. So if they bring back Injustice, I feel like people would be happy.
Yeah, and people are fans of NetherRealm too, right? So I think they just want to see. I, in my own opinion, would love to see something new, like something completely out of left field. You know, we're going completely different direction. We're revamping the fighting game style or something along those lines. Other people have posted that they'd love to see a remaster of Mortal Kombat 9. Or any remaster, I guess, at this point.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We've got some Switch 2 news. First of all, are you excited for the Switch 2? Have you had a chance to get your hands on it?
I have not played on it. My friend did get me a pre-order, which is great, but it's like the one with the bundle with Mario Kart, which I don't even play. But I guess, you know what? At parties, I'll be the most popular person because I'll bring it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say I'm like loosely excited. If my friend didn't get that pre-order, which he did just because he was like, I know a bunch of people want it. So he got a few for family and such. Honestly, I was perfectly fine staying with my Switch, like my normal Switch. Yeah, because I have the, oh my God, what is it? The OLED screen one. So I have like the second gen. So it's been fine for me. And I don't really feel the need to upgrade it right now.
Yeah.
The only reason that I was interested in the Switch 2 is because of that Bloodborne-like game that's coming out, that From Software game that's coming out specifically for the Switch.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I mean, you got me there.
Yeah, I think my main thing for the Switch 2 is I really want to play the Donkey Kong game. I love Mario Kart. Let's bring it. It's basically GTA Mario Kart. So yeah, I'm excited for it. I wanted to know your reaction about this idea of ownership because Nintendo basically, you know, with their licensing. Like somebody took a deep dive and read through the entire thing and found that it looks like they can brick the console if anything nefarious happens, which I understand. But I also think this brings up the bigger question of if you buy a console, at what point do you fully own it? You know, because at this point, is it Nintendo saying, hey, we can take this hardware away, even though you paid full price at any point?
It is very interesting, especially for a console that is as expensive as it is now. And I totally get that it's because of inflation. Okay, yeah, sure. I feel like it's not surprising behavior from Nintendo specifically, because they've always been so hard on their own rules specifically. And I get that they want to protect their own IP, they want to protect their brand, but really it's kind of hurting their own community.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately they don't care because they'll make the money. And so I think that's kind of where they're at. And it sucks because I feel like the Switch 2 could be really cool. But a lot of the things that we've seen about, you know, the physical games will still require digital downloads. So even if like, say you're in a rural area where you don't have a lot of internet, you may not be able to play a game that you've bought physically because you need to have good internet connection to be able to download, you know, updates for that.
That's right.
So it feels anti-consumer.
Yeah.
And it's kind of disappointing because Nintendo was very much kind of for everyone, right? It feels like that was one game that families could come together for. So it's very weird to be hearing all of these like, oh no, if you do this, like it's not gonna be a slap on the wrist. It's going to be like, you just can't use this $500 console.
They take it away. Yeah. It's a harsh punishment.
So it sucks. And it's like, I know people have modded their Switch 1s for like, you know, because they weren't able to get Steam Decks or whatever, and they wanted to see what they could do. And I totally get that you want your console to be one thing, but to heavily punish someone for that, unless they're like doing something really bad, like cheating in games or using it to, I don't know, do other illegal things. But this is a weird overcorrection to something.
Yeah, my stance is, I think just if you have the console, don't do anything messy, you know, like don't do anything to go against what the console is intended to be used for. But I agree that it's bringing up an interesting question, and I wonder if it's something that will become a trend. I hope not. I wonder if there's a better way to go about this. This year has been Nintendo's, you know, shake the boat kind of year, I feel like.
Oh yeah.
Totally. Speaking of, Nintendo finally added built-in voice chat, which I'm very excited about. I think that's one of the features I'm looking forward to using. But yeah, what are some of the features that you're most excited for when it comes to the Switch? Maybe not games, but like features specific to the Switch 2.
Yeah. I mean, I think I really want to see how the mouse of the Joy, like what you could turn the Joy-Con into the mouse. I am so curious what that's going to be like, and if you can use like, I bet you some like third party seller is going to make like a Nintendo Switch compatible like Bluetooth mouse controller too.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious as to see where that's gonna go, because I do see other games being ported to the Switch too.
Ooh, yeah.
So that's something that I'm really interested in. I think it looks really uncomfortable, but
it doesn't feel natural.
Yeah, it looks really weird. Like it's so thin. So I'm just like, okay, well, someone is going to take this and make it into something that's a little bit better. So I don't know. I'm most curious about that, I think.
Yeah, I'm also, I think one of the features, and I don't know if this is something because I haven't tried the Switch yet, but once I do, I want to see how easy it is to share photos from the Switch. Because that's been kind of a finagly kind of thing to do for the past few years on the Switch, the original. So I'd be excited to see if they added anything to make it better this time around. All right, I have this question at the end of each episode now that I want to do, and you're only the second person to be asked this. I wanted to know, what is your game of the week? Like if you could say one game, you're only allowed to pick one, but what is the game of the week for you? That could be a callback to an old game or something you've been playing or something you want people to know about.
You know what? It has to be Helldivers 2 right now, just because they had that big drop. Everyone's fighting on Super Earth, and I think that's really cool. It's like this whole new, I don't want to say biome, but it's like a whole new cityscape, and it's got brand new missions. So it's got to be Helldivers 2. They've been able to keep it so fresh, and it's been really good, and everyone's felt very united again, coming together to protect Super Earth. So that's my game of the week for sure.
I love that you said that because I still play Helldivers too, but I haven't gotten on since the update. So I hope that I can.
We need you.
I know. I need to join. It's the old group chat that I had in Discord finally got revived too because of that update. So
that's really
it's time
cute.
to bring the team back together. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, Stella, it's always so great having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope to see you at Summer Games Fest.
Yeah, that's next week.
It's coming up. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys, and I'll talk to you later, Stella. Thanks again.
Yeah.
Stella Chung is a gaming host and producer in the space. You can follow her on Instagram at ParallaxStella.
Flawless victory. Continue.
And that's This Week in Gaming. I'm your host, Naomi Kyle, and I had such an amazing time bringing you the news, as always. Thank you so much for listening. And shout out to my co-writer, Josh Seaman, for helping put the show together. Don't forget to let me know what you're playing and what you think of these stories by tagging me at Naomi Kyle on social media. From all of us here at This Week in Gaming, we wish you a gaming-filled week. We'll see you same time, same place. Ciao, Bella.
This Week in Gaming is an iHeartRadio Canada podcast. Subscribe to this podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. Download the iHeartRadio app for more podcasts just like these.